Hi, this is the tutorial for 1.4 Part 1. It's there to get you ready for that exercise and the quiz that follows. So let's have a look at the SI units. First, just a few basic definitions. I realize that most of you have been working with the metric system since grade school, so I do not want to belabor the obvious. But let's just make sure that you realize that larger and smaller units in the metric system, in the SI system of units, are made by adding prefixes to base units. And that language might be a little formal for you, so this is what I mean. If you have a base unit like the meter, and you need a larger unit, let's say 1,000 times larger, you add a prefix, the K, meaning K for kilo, to the meter to make it a kilometer. And that's not how units work in other aspects of our life. I'll give you a quick example. Time units, for example. Second is a duration of time, but the next unit that's larger, we don't make it 10 times longer than the second. Instead, it's the minute, which is 60 times longer. And of course, it's very common to talk about the English system of units, that there are 12 inches in a foot, not 10. So the metric system, as you know, is all based upon things being always 10 times larger or smaller than some kind of base unit. And the first thing, though, is just to make sure that we're really clear and have thought about with some clarity, what do we even mean by a base unit? And I call it here, to answer the question of the length of something, you need some kind of reference standard. And that's what we're going to mean by a base unit. That standard that is used for length in SI units in the metric system is called the meter. So let's have a look at that in practical terms. Here's a question. Someone says to you, how would you find the length of this line shown? How you should respond is, I have no idea, because I have no idea what the reference frame is. What's the thing I'm comparing this line to? I need some kind of comparison, some kind of standard. And I say, okay, here's my standard. I place a gold ruler next to it. I say, this is the standard. This is exactly 1 meter. Now you know how to answer the question. You simply take this gold standard, and you kind of either have many of them end to end here to figure out how long this ruler is, or some kind of long stick that you make little marks on every meter. The result, I have it here. There's the meter, and I added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. So it looks like the length of this is 7 meters. Why I said 7.0 and not 7, we're going to discuss in lesson 1.5. So for now, just kind of accept it, why I put 7.0 there instead of 7. Let's go on to another example here. What if that length, that gray thing, happens to be a little bit smaller than a meter? Well, you can manage that. The last little meter would be some fraction of a meter. So it's 6 up to here, and then a little bit beyond, looks like a little bit beyond halfway. So I would call this 6.6 meters. How about if it's even shorter? Sure, a really teeny thing. It's not even a meter long, but there's nothing wrong with recording it as a fraction of a meter. 0.6 would be a pretty good way to record this measurement. Okay, so that's what a meter is. That's just the idea that we have a reference frame, and we can have things longer, of course, or shorter than a particular base unit, and get perfectly reasonable measures out of it. But now think about this for a minute. Think of time as a good example. If we used only the second in order to figure out how long something took, and you said, okay, I'm not going to use any of the units besides second, no minutes, no hours, no days, nothing like that, it would be a big pain to kind of keep track of how long something took. So for example, if someone said, how long did you sleep last night? And you say, oh, about 8 hours. Well, that's what we're used to saying. But what if we mean by that only, you have to record that only in seconds? You'd have to multiply 8 by 3,600. And that would be this large number. And you would kind of lose your bearings. You'd say, well, I can't quite tell how long that is. So it's better to use units that kind of make sense relative to what you're trying to measure. So in the metric system, as you know, the way that works is you take a base unit and you can either make it smaller by a power of 10 or larger. In this first set of slides, we're going to make some smaller units. So here's the first one. If this is a representation of a meter, then this red stick here is 10 times smaller than that, and that is called a decimeter. So it's 1 power of 10 smaller than the base unit, the meter. What if you needed something smaller? Yeah, the decimeter, yeah, it's pretty practical, but it's not that great for the small work that you're doing. Well, you could divide that decimeter into 10 equal parts, and that new unit would be called the centimeter. It's one power of 10 smaller than the decimeter. Now look at the relationship we've established so far. The base unit is the meter. 10 times smaller than that would be the decimeter. 10 of these red bars would fit into this gold one. Or 10 times smaller than that would be the centimeter. So we would say that a decimeter is 1 power of 10 smaller than the meter. But a centi is 1 power of 10 smaller than the decimeter, or 2 powers of 10 smaller than the meter. Let's see if we can get used to this in a table form. The table you're going to be using for reference looks like this, and it's a little confusing sometimes because people are not real fond of these negative exponents. All this means is relative to the base unit, the deci, and then add the base unit to it, like the decimeter, is 1 power of 10 smaller. That means you have to divide the base unit by 10 to get the decimeter. 10 to the minus 2 means you have to then divide the base unit by 2 powers of 10, or by 100. I hope that's okay. Let's try another one. What if you want to work with something even smaller than a centimeter? Well, you would take the centimeter and divide it into 10 equal parts. That would be the millimeter. 3 powers of 10 smaller than the base unit, or just 1 power of 10 smaller than the centimeter. When we get to work trying to work with really, really small things, we tend to skip. Instead of going down 1 power of 10 every time, we take that millimeter and we divide it into 1,000 equal parts. That means we're going to go down 3 powers of 10 from the millimeter all the way to the micrometer. So let's see if we can keep track of where we are. The micrometer is 6 powers of 10 smaller than the base unit. That is, there's 1 million micrometers in a meter. It is 3 powers of 10 smaller than the millimeter. Okay, a couple of more. Again, we're going to jump by 3s. So after the micrometer comes the nanometer. The nanometer is 3 powers of 10 smaller than the micrometer. And then finally the picometer, really, really super small, is 3 powers of 10 smaller than even the nanometer. So if you were asked how many powers of 10 smaller is the picometer than the meter, your answer would be 10 to the minus 12. Millimeter is 1,000 times smaller than a base unit. Micrometer is 1 million times smaller. Nanometer is 1 billion times smaller than a base unit. And finally, the picometer is 1 trillion times smaller than the base unit. All right, that's us talking about using prefixes to make units smaller than a base unit. And our example up to now has only been for length, for the meter. Let's go in the other direction. How do we make units that are larger than the base unit? Well, here's our original gold standard, the meter. What if you wanted to work with something larger than a meter? 10 times larger than a meter is called a decameter. That in turn may not be large enough. 10 times larger than a decameter is a hectometer. Excuse me. Let's keep going. Here's the 2 prefixes so far in the table form. If a decameter is 10 times larger than a meter, 1 power of 10 larger than a meter, and a hecto is 2 powers of 10 larger than a meter, can we keep going in the same direction? Sure. Here we have the kilometer. It's 3 powers of 10 larger than a meter, or there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Finally, larger yet, just like on the way down, after you get to the thousands, you start skipping by 3s. The next unit that is common is the megameter. It's 6 powers of 10 larger than the meter, or there's 1 million meters in a megameter. And again, 3 larger than that is a gigameter. There's 1 billion meters in a gigameter, and finally 1 trillion by the time you get up to a terameter. So notice the powers of 10 are getting larger here. That's why they're positive. And in the other example, they were getting smaller. All right, so we're almost done, except we just have to make sure we're kind of clear about the other references besides the length as a reference standard, the meter. What are the other reference standards? So for time, the SI system uses the second. That's pretty familiar. Meter we've already done. This one is a little bit odd. We're going to treat the base unit as if it were the gram. It's not actually, it's the kilogram. That's the reference that has been used around the world to compare other masses. But to keep the kind of logic clean, we'll say, let's call it the gram, so that when we have that prefix, the K, we mean 1,000 of the base units, even if it's not technically correct. This base unit here is for temperature. It's the symbol for Kelvin. It's a temperature scale. We'll talk about that temperature scale later. We're not going to really use it right now. And the mole, you'll see it come up. It's a way of counting a number of particles by counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, literally counting them instead of measuring like with a ruler. And that we'll use a lot. And for now, just accept it as a way of dealing with the amount of substance. And you can put prefixes in front of that just like you can with the second, the meter, or the gram. Okay, the next slide is this disclaimer just saying, look, I know that the gram is not a base unit, but we're going to pretend that it is, just to kind of keep the logic and the language clean. Okay, the couple of slides at the end are just practice, just to kind of make sure that we get this. So I'm going to click on practice, and this is a place for you to practice before you actually look at the exercises, because it's just a little easier. What is the name of the unit that is 6 powers of 10 larger than the base unit for length? So as soon as I see length, I think, okay, we're dealing with the meter, and it's 6 powers of 10 larger than the meter, so what is that? Well, here's 6 larger than the base unit, which I think of as being at this line. That must be the megameter. And they want the name, so I just type it in. So it's the megameter. I think that's all we need for that. Okay, that was pretty easy. Let's try another one of these. What's the name of the unit that is 3 powers of 10 larger than the measurement for length? Again, it's the meter. But this time it's 3 powers of 10 larger. That is 1,000 meters, and I know what that is. That's the kilometer, or the kilometer. Great. So far, so good. Maybe one more. Maybe we'll get one that goes down smaller. Yeah, that's a smaller. What's the name of the unit that's 1 power of 10 smaller than the base unit for measuring time? Now, time is measured in seconds. Smaller than a second, that is 1/10 of a second, would be this guy here, a decisecond. This kind of sounds funny. Someone says, how long did that take? Oh, like a decisecond. That would be 1/10 of a second. And that's how that goes. Okay, that's the names. Let's now look at the units themselves, just so we get used to writing the units with the prefixes and then the base unit that follows. Here the question is, what is the symbol for the unit that is 12 powers of 10 smaller than the base unit for measuring mass? Now, gram is the measurement for mass. 12 powers of 10 smaller is this pico. So it's just going to be the PG, or a picogram. All right, that was pretty good. Last one for good measure. The symbol for the unit that is 9 powers of 10 smaller than the base unit for measuring time. So we're dealing with time again. It's second, but I got to give 9 below. It looks like that's this nanosecond. So a nanosecond must be 9 powers of 10 smaller than a second. A very, very, very short duration of time. Great. So that's the end of that. Good luck with this. I don't think this will cause you any trouble after you practice a few times. Excuse me. You should have no trouble with the exercises, which are just more randomly chosen, and then the quiz also should be no problem for you. Okay, we'll see you in class, and we'll review this if you still have questions. Thanks.